it's hard enough to do it within your own network. I think let us see how the pilot goes before we answer that question. I mean, it can't cross over.
Not when the network is the problem, not the universe, because Constantine is in the regular DC universe. I can tell you one thing right now: the storyline will not be based on the Vertigo series.
Yeah,
because Vertigo was for mature readers, and it was mature storyline. Even though NBC does do, adult, not adult as in porn, but grown up,
hard hitting stuff.
Constantine will be hard hitting, but it will not be the Vertigo series. It'll be more the kind of. I mean, they cancelled the harder edge stuff and brought him into the New 52 itself. It'll probably be that. It will have a darker edge than something you'll see on Superman or maybe even Batman. It'll probably be more akin to the Dresden Files meets Supernatural than it will Batman.
Okay.
And I could see him crossing over with Arrow because it is that sort of weird program. But not Gotham.
But see, Arrow, if it exists in the Arrow universe, it can't exist in the Gotham universe anyway.
No,
given
because they're all in different universes.
12 years old.
Yeah.
In the Gotham story. Okay, right. Let me see. What else have we got? We're coming up in the end of the show, so let's talk about something that I wanted to talk about. The Dark Tower.
Oh, we were talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. Okay, now you're a fan of the Dark Tower. I'm a fan of the Dark Tower.
I am. I have to admit, as much as I've read them all, I read them when as Mercedes and I were joking. I read them when I was ill. It could be any time in the last 4 years. The first one's pretty strong in my mind. The second one was an audiobook, and then I read the rest. But I read them all within a period of very fast time, and that's never a good thing.
No, I actually read them as they came out. I got the first book.
Didn't read them until the last one was out.
Right.
Well, no, sorry, because there's been a new one, but
the proper end of the story.
And when I read them, like we were talking about earlier, the characters, I got a bit confused between them because I read it too fast. And it is a complicated story because it is one story over 5-6 books.
Well, I've gone through it 3 times, and
are you still? And some of it's still complicated. But what I do remember, it's King at his weird best.
Yes, it's an amazing story. It's Lord of the Rings, it's Star Wars.
That's the problem. I think
Western,
people don't know it, and I don't understand. They hear King and they think of probably The Shining, maybe The Stand, or Carrie.
Yeah.
But they don't think of some of his other work. The Dark Tower series it's epic, like you said. It is. It's a Western opera, Western sci-fi fantasy horror opera.
Yeah, steampunk sci-fi.
That's
horror.
what he's done, and I think maybe that's where it's bit him in the butt. He doesn't care because it's sold billions, but it isn't defined.
Yeah.
Star Wars is space opera. Hobbit is Tolkien. The Dark Tower is everything and more.
Yeah, it's literally everything.
Yeah,
it ties into everything. It's it's rich literature. It's exciting. It's got great characters.
But have you noticed that King has started to get? And I don't know why. There's a stigma to it now that people seem to dislike him because he's popular and big and clever.
Yeah,
and that isn't right. They think, he is very good at what he does, and what he does is not. He's not Salman Rushdie.
Yeah, well, I mean...
He's better than Salman Rushdie.
Yeah, there is... I don't care what anybody
says. But there is a stigma because he's genre.
Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
He is.
See, 100 years from... Well, say 200 years from now, he'll be... people will know what he was.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm going to get onto a soapbox here. Midnight's Children, Salman Rushdie book and movie. Brilliant. Book's good. Sorry, very good. Movie, meh, not that good. The term magic realism, this may be wrong, but I think it was coined for him because it's fantasy. It's about magic and children and powers and things like that. It is pure fantasy. But it's Salman Rushdie. He's a literary genius. He doesn't do fantasy. So they coined magic realism. Now, I do kind of like the term. But Stephen King writes magic realism, if you want to put it that way. But he's classed as a fantasy and horror writer. So he's poo-pooed by the literary clique of people and publishers. He's the most successful living author of our generation, of more than our generation, and I don't think he's recognised enough. If more people read the Dark Tower series, maybe they'd have to read all of his work to figure out just how damn clever he is.
Well,
if you read the Dark Tower, it's a very complicated work, and it's brilliant. And it's all consuming. But if you read all of his other books as well, you just realise how clever that guy was. He didn't fall into that luck of having all those characters interwoven and mixed and somehow related. He must have known what he was doing. Or he should be doing the lottery every day.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, for an author who has written, we will see, I'm trying to find how many books he's written. 30
novels? No, more than that.
At least.
And billions of shorts. The thing is, people are still interpreting his work and putting it into. I mean, look at Shawshank and The Green Mile. They're short stories that were so good they spawned Oscar-worthy movies.
Well, I can find this post here in 2008 that had him with 55 books.
And
he has written Under the Dome. He has written.
They're all
Joy
bestsellers.
Land, he has written. So I would say he's at least 60 books. And he's what age? Roughly 60.
Yeah,
that's a book a year.
And he didn't start young.
And while his books aren't all brilliant, he has never written a truly bad book.
Never a stinker.
You know, there's always something in his books that makes it worth a read.
Do you know what his problem is? And I'm a Stephen King fan. His endings sometimes suck.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, listen, Mr. King, if you're listening. Everything does not have to end with aliens.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're writing a horror story about clowns, he doesn't have to be an alien.
Yes.
If you're writing a story about, well, kind of Dreamcatcher and things like that, it doesn't have to be aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Drop it with the aliens, okay? At least, do you know what? The Stand wasn't about aliens.
No.
But it was about God, the devil, all eternal war, good, evil.
Yeah.
It was big. I love that book.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. But I mean, there is, as you say, there is this stigma of, Stephen King and he hasn't written anything good. You know what? I challenge anybody to read Joyland and Doctor Sleep, which was his last two books, and they are as good
as
Shining. Anything.
The Shining is dark and romantic.
No, but what I'm saying is, written,
recently,
this idea people think he's not writing any good books anymore.
Yeah.
He has two books out
Joyland
in the
is
last
brilliant.
12 years, which are 12 months, that were amazing.
Or even, I know some people think it was too convoluted, the time travel one.
I haven't seen it.
The date.
JFK one.
Yeah, I can never remember the date, 11/12/63, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing book. Really, really good. And like you said, Under the Dome, aliens.
Under the Dome's an amazing book.
It's
until the last
brilliant.
50 pages.
Yeah, because it's about the people in a bad situation.
Not a bad TV series either, by the way.
Not bad, not great.
Not great, but fun.
Supposedly it's going to be better in the second season.
Aye, because they know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so how do we get on to that? Yes, the Dark Tower.
Yes, we talked about that, sorry.
Breaking Bad. Have you watched Breaking Bad?
Nope, never seen an episode.
Okay, I've seen the first series. Fantastic. Really want to watch the episode. The two actors, of course, in are Bryan Cranston and a guy, the younger guy by the name of Aaron Paul. And Aaron Paul has a new film out at the minute called Halcyon, I think it's called. And the guys in the Intercool caught up with him. They were doing an interview with him, and one of them happened to mention that they always fancied him as Eddie Dean in the Dark Tower. Eddie Dean, of course, in the books is a character. He's from the modern world. He gets caught up. He's a drug peddler, but a drug mule, I suppose you would call him.
Yeah.
And a user as well. And he gets caught up in the world of Roland of Gilead. Roland kind of saves his life, and he becomes a gunslinger. He becomes part of the Quartet, which is Roland's group of people in Midworld. And it's a great character. It's a rich, brilliant character. But Quint at the Intercool said to him, I could always see you as Eddie Dean in Dark Tower. And Aaron Paul says, yeah, I've been in talks for this.
Don't you love it when that happens?
And I really think, Quint must have had a what kind of thing going on. And yeah, he says that he has talked to Ron Howard and that the plan is, we'd heard this about a year ago as well, that there is a plan to get movies and TV series run alongside it. Which is very exciting. This is probably the best way to do it because it's such a huge story. It's such a massive story. So they're talking about a couple of series and 3 movies to do all 7 books.
Even that's tight.
Yeah, it's probably not.
I would love to see 7 movies.
Even that, some of those books are far too big for one movie.
As much as I'm not going to say I'm a fan, but I don't dislike it either. The Harry Potter books to movie translation was done pretty well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff left out though.
Yeah, but you could do it with 7 movies done well. 7 2-hour movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I did 7 2-hour, not 2 7-hour movies. That wouldn't work.
But then, so other news then. So that was kind of every now and again. The Dark Tower is one of those things that about once or twice a year there's like an explosion of news.
Is it too big to film?
I think so.
So is it something that should never? I'm not a fan. Not always a fan of books to movies. Sometimes books could just be books.
Yes.
I was proven wrong with. You did like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I really didn't think that was going to translate and work, but maybe that's why some of these Stephen King, like the rumours, once you get the Tolkien books translated to the screen, anything can happen.
Yeah. But other news then. Okay, so we were done with that. That was exciting. That happened yesterday, I think. And then, obviously, you sort of thought to yourself, right, that's it. No more Dark Tower news for another 6 months. And then, all of a sudden, boom, more Dark Tower news today. As I said, we knew that the plan, before Aaron Paul had said anything, we knew that the plan was to make it as a series of movies and TV shows. But then what happened was a website called Schmoes Know, and these guys are pretty good. A lot of stories that they break that do actually turn out to be the real deal. They said that Ron Howard is going to make this with AMRC and Imagine for around 60 million or so, and he's likely doing this next. Okay,
which is soon then.
Which is soon. This is going to be a TV series as well since it's AMRC, and we're thinking that it's going to end up at Netflix.
Now Netflix, see, that is the good bit of the rumour, because Netflix are, I don't know if they sold their soul to someone, but something's going on with Netflix. They're getting massive. The stuff that they're going to be bringing out in the next 2 years is amazing.
Yeah, are they doing that House of Cards? That's theirs, isn't it? Yeah, and
maybe some little Marvel stuff, you know.
Which hopefully will be better than Shield. Easy. So yeah, but I'm curious about the 60 million. I don't know if the 60 million is just for the TV series.
See, that to me it sounds like the 60 million is pigeonholed for a good TV series,
yes,
which will then segue into movies, and then TV series goes away.
I think what we might see is, I'm sure, because I know you said that the memory of the books isn't that great, but I'm sure you'll remember that there's like a present, and then there's the young Roland of Gilead, which kind of runs parallel to a lot of the story. I think what we might see is the movies will focus on Roland in the now, if you know what I mean.
And the TV series, how it came to be in a way.
Young Roland.
Because and again, that's how you take some of the good stuff out of the, worrying about leaving it behind. The TV series focuses on one part over different books, and the movies focus on another part over different books, because the books are, if you had split it, you could still have had 7 books, but rather than the flashbacks and segues in and out, linear. In books it's not as much fun when it's linear. It wouldn't have worked.
Because if I remember correctly, Wizard and Glass is almost completely the story of young Roland. And then the most recent one, went through the Keyhole, is it's a story of young Roland as well. But all the books are laced with where he talks about the experiences he had, and this reminds me of this. And,
but if they are, it could be quite clever to see the TV series focusing on the past, leading up, getting invested in the character, and then suddenly, boom, you're in the movie with the new stuff. The present stuff, sorry.
So, so that was exciting, but it's nothing that we didn't know. We were pretty sure that if it happens, this is how it's going to happen. So, but the next part is that apparently Ireland's own Liam Neeson is interested in being a part of this.
I didn't know he was a King fan.
Well, there you go. But it doesn't say what role he wants, okay? Now, Roland of Gilead, or Roland Ishin, or whatever you want to call him, is very much, King wrote him, he was Clint Eastwood.
And Liam Neeson can do that.
Yeah. I think Liam Neeson's a little bit old. The three names that were most linked to this were Viggo Mortensen, Javier Bardem, and who was the other one? Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's a little bit too young.
And, well, my favourite there is Viggo.
You see, I think Viggo... No, I don't think so. I think Javier Bardem is the man for the job. But this is interesting, because I've been talking to people over Facebook, and everybody has different ideas.
King writes such good characters that different people could play, because he's got different facets. It's not a straight and simple character. None of his characters are.
Just on the Clint Eastwood thing, obviously Clint Eastwood was much too old now to play Roland, but I don't know if you remember Father Callahan in the books. By the way, that Callahan name can't be a coincidence.
That's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood could play Father Callahan.
Okay.
Talking about the links, Father Callahan was a character that we met in Salem's Lot, who left Salem's Lot after the vampires, and then he pops up later on in Wolves of the Calla. We meet him, and he becomes part of the Captet for a couple of books.
See, it's all planned.
And he's an amazing character. And Clint Eastwood is born, because he's old. He's too old to be a gunslinger, but he still doesn't mess about.
And he's got that presence. Yeah. I saw something recent on Facebook where a director said that he loved working with Eastwood, and he really only had 2 characters he played, or 2 emotions he played, with the hat and without the hat.
So, which is fair enough.
It is.
But yeah, so Roland is a very different... I can't see Liam Neeson...
So it might not be that
Roland.
character.
There's other characters. There's the Crimson King. There's Flag, who of course is a character that
Flag in the Stand.
And Eyes of the Dragon, and he pops
Tears
up
of the
a
Dragon?
lot of other... Eyes of the Dragon?
Was it Eyes or Tears?
Eyes.
Was it?
Yeah.
The fantasy one?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was tears. I don't know why I thought it was tears. That I love that book.
Yeah, it's a great
You know,
book.
it's a modern day fable, but rather than the girl being locked in the tower, it's the boy.
Yeah, I read it in one sitting. I just
Yeah.
sat down one day and read it.
See, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah.
But yeah, Flag, of course,
Tears.
was the dark song.
Tears of the Dragon.
Okay.
And that's a Bruce Dickinson song from Iron Maiden.
Okay, fair enough. I personally can see... I think I could see him as Court. I don't know if you remember who Court was. Court was the old retired gunslinger that trained Roland.
Okay.
When Roland fought him with the eagle.
A mentor type.
He was-
Yes. Now, that's good.
Yeah, he was like an old